The most brutal critic in your business is not a competitor, not even a client or the market. It's the voice in your own head. And if you are running your business on that voice, you're running on the wrong fuel. Thank you for listening to Routine is Revenue. This is your place to build routines and bank results. I'm Ildikó Sealey, nicknamed the Routine Queen, and I work with business owners who are holding themselves to standards they would never apply to anyone else and wondering why they are exhausted. Now, this episode is for you if your inner critic is louder than your inner coach right now. But if you are ready to treat yourself with the same generosity you would give a good friend who was struggling, let's go. In this routine reset, we are going to look at self-compassion as fuel. And that's the practice of managing your inner critic while sustaining yourself through difficulties and building the emotional stamina to keep going without burning yourself out in the process. And if you haven't already, please hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Right. Here is something worth pondering on. I bet you that you would never speak to a colleague the way you speak to yourself when something goes wrong. Am I right? You miss a target. You have a slow month. You might make a decision that didn't land quite right. And immediately the inner commentary starts. I should have known. I should have done more. What were you thinking? So go on, be honest. Do you recognize that voice? But the trouble is, that voice doesn't motivate you. Now, research consistently shows, yet it doesn't appear to be common knowledge, that self-criticism activates the threat response in the brain. Do you realize that it's the same system that triggers fight or flight? And you can't do your best creative and strategic thinking from inside a threat response, can you? No, you just can't. So when self-criticism is your default operating mode, you become the bottleneck in your own business because of that internal environment that you are working in. Meanwhile, self-compassion activates a completely different system. And that one is associated with safety, calm, and the capacity to learn from what went wrong. So you don't just spiral in it endlessly. Now, I found something in Dr. Kristin Neff's work on self-compassion, which makes a distinction worth discussing. Self-compassion is not self-pity, and it's not lowering your standards. It's treating yourself as a capable person who is also human, holding both at the same time. And as we covered with resilience under pressure in Routine Reset 21, the loop of replaying and self-criticizing is expensive, not just emotionally, but cognitively. Every hour spent in that loop is an hour not spent finding the next move. On the other hand, self-compassion shortens that loop because self-compassion is what gets you back to functioning faster. So how do you immerse yourself in that? Self-compassion as a fuel works through three main things: acknowledgement, perspective, and directed kindness. Acknowledgement means simply naming what's hard, but without going down the rabbit hole of amplifying it. Keep it simple, like, this is difficult. This didn't go the way I wanted. That's it, full stop. It's just a clean, honest statement of what it is, rather than dwelling on what it says about you. Perspective means recognizing that difficulty is part of the experience. Again, that's it. Difficulty is not a sign you are doing it wrong. And I can absolutely guarantee you that every single business owner that you admire has had their version of the moment you are in right now. You are not uniquely failing. You are just in a hard part. And you will get out of it like a roller coaster gets out of a dip. And then thirdly, directed kindness. And that means asking yourself, what would I say to a good friend in this situation? And then saying that same advice to yourself. But just be aware that you will often find that the answer is the lack of self-compassion in disguise. Now, this is not to be mistaken with performance positivity. You are not telling yourself everything is fine when it isn't. You are just providing yourself with the same kind of steadying, honest, warm response you would give someone you cared about. So go and ask yourself, do I care about me? Now, answer it honestly. Because the practical application is this. I've recently made a deliberate decision to put some plates down. I'm pausing the interview episodes and I'm focusing on one clear path forward, which is helping others. And the most important insight is that the decision is not giving up. It is self-compassion in action. It's choosing what to protect so the rest can actually work. Last week, I released episode 100 of Routine is Revenue. That's 100 episodes, and it's a massive milestone that I'm really genuinely proud of. And I'll be completely honest with you about what the lead-up looked like. I was proudly talking about the 3 arms of my business, which you might have heard before: the podcast, the strategy coaching, the public speaking. But the reality was that I was juggling too many things at once. Interviews, social media strategy, building a quiz, writing the weekly newsletter, researching, writing and recording the solo episodes, delivering the one-to-one program, and then, of course, the production and back office tasks for all of that on the top of it. So what do you think happened? Exhaustion started showing its ugly head. But when your sleep gets affected, your performance gets affected. And I can tell you firsthand, the irony does not escape me. This is what the T.E.M.P.L.E method I teach is all about, to avoid overwhelm that leads to burnout. You can imagine that my inner critic was having an absolute field day, telling me that I should be further ahead, doing more, and moving much faster. So I took a leaf out of my own book. I stopped and I looked honestly at what was actually required right now, and there was noise. What would you recommend I did? Simplify? Yes. Some plates had to be put down. Maybe you are carrying a few unnecessary plates as well. And this proves that self-compassion is not softness. It's the much-needed strategic decision to protect what matters by letting go of what doesn't. And that decision, I have to admit, it feels like relief. Now let's stop for a moment. Because what if your inner critic keeps running the show? You keep pushing and you keep performing. But underneath, that constant stream of self-judgment quietly erodes your confidence. It crumbles your creativity, and you lose your willingness to take the risk that growth actually requires. But what's dangerous about it is that it happens over time. Your collapse is likely not a dramatic event. But when your light is dimming slowly, causing your ideas to come less freely, you will start playing smaller because your internal environment would become hostile. Am I right to think that you would never let a team member operate in that environment? So tell me honestly, why are you running your most important asset, your own mind, in those conditions? Self-compassion is about staying functional, clear, and moving forward. Businesses rarely collapse overnight. Their owners usually do first. So when do you decide to be as kind to yourself as you are to the people around you? See, when things will get easier? Or when you feel you've earned it? Well, I would say now. Because the business needs the version of you that's been treated well, not the version of you that's been run into the ground by your own standards. So have you been your own worst critic lately? Well, if yes, then your next step is really simple. If today's episode has made you realize how much pressure you are placing on yourself, take my professional performance quiz. In around 6 minutes, it will help you uncover the underlying pattern that is having the biggest impact on your energy, your focus, and your performance, so you know where to direct your attention first. You will find the link for the quiz in the show notes. And in the meantime, be as good to yourself as you are to people around you. Everything works better when you do. And remember, a healthier you makes a wealthier you.